Hi, it's Sari. So, as promised yesterday, I did come on here yesterday and say that I was doing a video on my page, my Coaching Healthy Minds page. I'll pop the link to there at the top. I forgot to do it. And we did. I had a young man on there called Cody. He was talking about mental health, and he's now also a therapist. And I said to Melanie that I would stream them both live at the same time so I could come on here, but it wouldn't let me. I could only go on one at a time. So I did promise that I would hop on and just see if anyone's got any questions that they want to ask me for the next 10-15 minutes. If there's anything I can help or support with, anything you want to ask me at all, please do feel free. I'll just stay on here and see if anyone's got anything they want to ask. I will also, just whilst I'm waiting for any questions, I'll just pop the link to my page in here in the comments in case anybody wants to watch that video from yesterday. Hang on. Talking about mental health mainly in men, actually. Sari Taylor Coaching. There you go. It should now be in the comments. So yes, has anyone got any questions? Anything they want to ask me at all whilst I'm here? Might take a little minute for them to pop up. Say hi so I can see who's around. Say hello. See my Christmas tree in the background. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's far too big and it's really irritating because it sheds everywhere. And my cats regularly like to climb up it, so it's a pain. But my husband and my daughter insist. Every year I'm getting the biggest Christmas tree that they possibly can. Hi, Annette. So I'm on here really just to answer any questions that you might have, anything you want to ask me. Hello. Anything at all. Don't be shy. Don't worry about asking. I will answer as best as I can for you. And as I say, if anyone didn't see the video yesterday with myself and Cody, we're talking a little bit about mental health. It's on my page. I've put the link to the page in the comments. You can watch it over there. Hello. Everyone's saying hi. Has anyone got any questions for me? Anything you want to ask at all? Any questions about your mental health in any way, or a loved one's mental health, or anything at all I can help with? For those of you that haven't seen me before, Melanie, who runs this page, who does so much for everybody, I can't remember how, I think I initially got in touch with her to see whether I could help and support in any way, and so I've just been on here a few times just to answer questions really. I'm a trained psychotherapist, I'm a coach, I specialise in helping people with anxiety, but lots of other stuff as well. Hi! I have suffered myself in the past, so I am aware of how debilitating and horrible it can feel. But I also know that it's possible to get relief because I am living proof of that. What are you having for tea? Hi from hospital. Oh, I hope you're okay. I don't know if that question's for me or for someone else. Just been to TGI Fridays, if you know of it. I promised my daughter for ages. She's been really poorly and she was dying to go there. So I promised her. So I've been there. So I actually feel really full to the brim. But it was nice. Best way to stop or ease anxiety. Okay, so if I had to kind of give you my one biggest tip in terms of anxiety, is to start to see what it really is, which is the feelings of anxiety only come from anxious thinking. Manny, yes, it absolutely does get better. I love life for the most part now. Like, don't get me wrong, I do have times where I'm stressed or I'm overthinking and worried, but it's just completely different different playing field. Like, for years I was in and out of feeling really anxious and feeling like my life was kind of ruined because of it, and it stopped me doing things. It doesn't stop me doing anything anymore. Never stops me doing anything. So the biggest tip is the more you understand about it, and why I do what I do is to help people get an understanding of how it all works, because often with anxiety, it's the fear of getting anxious that makes it worse, and because you're worrying about it. And what it happens is we become really uncomfortable with the discomfort of the feelings that we get. And so we then start to try and fight it and try and kind of see it as this awful thing. When actually, when you see it for what it is, it always passes, and it passes quite quickly until we hold on to it and we overthink it. So I used to do exactly the same thing, where I'd get anxious and then I'd go, oh no, it's here again and it's never going to go and I can't live like this, and what if I'm always like this, and that's just a whole load more anxious thinking. Where actually now, if I wake up and I feel anxious, I don't question why, I don't try and figure out why, I don't go into a panic about it, I just kind of go, oh well, it's here and it'll pass, because I know it's created through thinking. I know there's nothing physically wrong with me, because again, when you have symptoms from anxiety, you know, heart racing, sweating, headaches, dizziness, whatever it is, can feel like there's something wrong with you. But the more you understand about it, the more you see for yourself that there isn't something wrong with you. So you don't need to panic when you have those symptoms, because they're not actually harmful. They just feel uncomfortable. Let's have a look. So how do you cope when you're having an anxiety attack? Well, do you know what? We all do just cope. And let's just say I was having an anxiety attack where I felt like really sick or so panicked that even my vision would go a bit blurry. Again, rather than going, oh, this is awful, what if I pass out? Or, you know, what if this never goes away? Because I know now through everything I've learned that it is absolutely going to go away. So I just kind of go with the flow, and I'm more comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling, if that makes sense. And so it doesn't stay around as long, it goes. And I don't get into those situations very often anymore, where it's that overwhelming, because I catch it much earlier. Best things for anxiety and palpitations, honestly, Leanne, leave it where it is. Know that palpitations are not harmful. They are part of what's happening when you're having lots of anxious thinking that's creating anxious feelings. You're sending a message to your brain that you're in danger when you're not. And so what all your body's doing is exactly what it should be doing. It's not dangerous, but what's happening is your heart's going, right, we need to speed up here. We've got danger ahead of us and we need to be prepared. And the part that you're sending the message to your brain in is the same part that regulates your temperature, your heart rate, you know, your balance. So that's why we get all of those symptoms, because we're sending messages to the brain going, something's wrong, even when it isn't. Who can I talk with? So you're saying about grief. I would say to talk to friends, anyone that doesn't have anyone to talk to. You know, the Samaritans are amazing. There's some fantastic people there. If you want to ring up and talk to them and ask, you know, just get things off your chest. Like, you'll find some really lovely people there. And just be kind to yourself, and know that if you're sad about something, whether it be loss or whatever it is, that, you know, that's okay to feel like that, and it's understandable. Hate going to places with lots of people, even taking my son to school. Sometimes I don't want to go, have to force myself. Do you think I could possibly have anxiety? It sounds absolutely 1,000,000% like anxiety, in that you're having anxious thinking, because you're telling me already the story is, I don't like busy places. So you're telling yourself, but actually my guess is if you really racked your brain, you've been in busy places in the past and you've been okay. But for whatever reason, you've decided you don't like busy places. And so you're kind of fulfilling that every time before you go. So the worry starts before you even leave the house. Then when the worry starts, then the feelings start, and you start to feel uncomfortable. And then you're around lots of people and you might feel dizzy because of the messages you've been sending to your brain. And it's like a vicious cycle. You said ask anything I want. Is that what you said about what I had for my tea? My friends and work colleagues don't understand. And this might sound a bit harsh, but you know what? You don't need them to. Take care of yourself, learn more for yourself, and understand for yourself. You won't need them to understand, because the other thing, we can't control how other people think. We can't force them to understand if they don't. And Suzanne, anxiety and depression is a horrible illness. I do refrain from calling it an illness, and some people will not agree with me, because I hear all the time that it's an illness, and I used to think I had an illness with anxiety, but actually it's not to me, it's not an illness. It's something that happens as a result of overthinking huge amounts, getting into a place of real overwhelm, but it's not something that we have to live with forever. Yes, it's horrible, like being in the same, you know, in that place where I felt like I'm going to have to quit my job. What if I can't parent my child and have to be taken away? All these irrational thoughts of feeling in a really dark place, but actually they're just thoughts. Yeah, so dizziness and lightheaded is my main symptom. I make it worse, panicking over it, so it's there all day. That's right. The more you question it, the more you wonder why, the more you ask yourself, why is it there, the longer it's going to stay. That's it, simple as. And the more comfortable you come with it, that actually it's just part of what happens when you send worried messages to your brain that those physical symptoms happen. The more comfortable you become with that, the less it will show up, basically. For anyone who hasn't seen it already, I have a half-an-hour video. The link to my page is in the comments. There's a half-an-hour video explaining the 3 principles that I used and used with loads of different people that will start to help you with this sort of stuff. Okay, someone there's got CBT. Yeah, Lisa, I've known people, myself included, being completely bedridden with overwhelm. But again, it's really important that you see that that's because it's got to a peak of overwhelm because you've worried so much about it, and it's kind of creating all these physical symptoms which then you're worrying about. But don't be thinking that because it's been so bad that that's how it has to always be, because the more you start to learn about how thoughts work, the easier it will become. Okay. Okay, so someone's saying you're snappy, but they know you have anxiety and depression. The thing with anxiety as well is that it can cause, we can be snappy. I can be snappy when I'm on edge because I'm distracted and agitated and feel like I can't cope with much. But again, it's just thought. It's just because we think we can't cope with much. We think we're not capable, and that's not actually true. No, Samaritans are wasting their time. They could be talking to someone who's about to take their life. They're not just there for people who are taking their life. Prevention is better than cure. If that helps somebody getting to the stage where they then consider taking their life, but actually I'm pretty sure they'd rather talk to somebody, not rather, but I'm sure they'd be more than happy to talk to somebody before it gets to that stage. So it's there. Use the service. It's there for a reason. Constant feeling of dread. Yeah, it's horrible, horrible feeling. Go on my page and download the half-an-hour presentation. I promise you it will help. Hospitals making your anxiety worse. Surgery is worrying you. Of course, it's normal to worry about stuff like that. Of course you're going to worry about stuff like that. But again, the more you understand about thought, then you realise that worrying about stuff that you can't control and you can't change the outcome of is going to create even more symptoms for you and more stress. It's anxiety why I've had frequent panic attacks, unable to sleep too. Yeah, I mean, anxiety is just a word that we give it. It's kind of real overwhelm, isn't it? So, if you're having panic attacks and you're not sleeping, then that tells me your mind is mega busy. And so all of that overthinking is then creating those feelings. Not so hard. Full of anxiety. Yeah, I mean, people, any kind of loss, whether it be loss in a relationship or loss of a life, it's going to create loads of overwhelming feelings. But be compassionate with yourself and think, well, okay, that's understandable. And it will pass eventually and get easier, but there'll be a time where it will feel really overwhelming. Overthinking, meds are not helping. Okay, well, there's other stuff you can do. Go and download that video on my page. The link's in the comments. Have you ever had thoughts, is this it? Is this all life has to offer? Yeah, of course. Every time I'm hormonal for a start, just because I don't suffer with severe anxiety anymore doesn't mean I don't have times where, I get fed up or whatever and become irrational. Particularly a lot of females may be able to relate to me here that, hormones can make you feel like you can't be arsed with anything, quite frankly. But again, it will always pass. Worrying about getting old, someone's put here, totally irrational. We're all going to get old. This is all stuff we can't control. But we get into a habit of thinking about it and worrying about it. It's like a habit of going to a place of worry, which, none of us can do anything about that. We're all definitely going to get old. But we can get old in 2 ways. We can get old constantly being stressed about the fact that we're going to get old, or we can just get old. I don't know. I can't really comment on specific medications, Leanne, because everybody's different. You know, I would just say, if you have any doubts of anything working for you, I know a lot of things with medication is stick with it, take the advice of your doctor, and if it isn't working for you, go back and talk about it and discuss it. There's millions of different options. Do you think we all expect too much of ourselves these days? Absolutely, 1,000,000%, and I think that's a huge part of the problem. Can't cope with this time of year. Okay, so again, this can be a difficult time of year for people, and that links in really nicely with the comment that Terry put above that, is that about expectations. So with Christmas comes a lot of expectations. I should be happy, I should be with my family, I should be around people, I should be having a jolly old time. Who says? So take the expectation off for what is effectively a day. Like, all the build up and the stress, it's effectively a day. PTSD, again, you know, very much linked into thoughts. So what's happening is, if you've experienced trauma in the past and then you have thoughts about it that come into your head, rather than being able to notice that they are just thoughts and they are going to go and they're not going to necessarily stay, it's worrying, like, oh, I'm having flashbacks and this is really awful, and what if they get worse? That's what then keeps them there. So again, the same principles apply. If you download the video that I have, the half-hour video, that will help with that. Why have I just found you? I've suffered from anxiety and panic attacks for 19 years, so bad. I'm in the bathroom naked with wings of loads of cold water and wet towels over my body, and not one doctor has helped. I could listen to you all day. Oh, okay. So even if this just gives you a little bit of hope and gets you to listen to that video, Lisa, do it, because this is something that you don't have to continue in this constant overwhelm all the time. I'm not saying you'll have a completely overwhelm-free life, because we're human and we do have it. And we do, but it's how we hold on to it and not let it pass. Of a thyroid hyper flare-up. Okay, so thyroid, overactive or underactive, it is going to mess with your hormone levels, and it is going to mess with anxiety. But again, okay, so I get more severe feelings of anxiety around my period. Sorry to any men on here when I'm talking about periods, but I get heightened anxiety. However, it doesn't bother me so much because I know why it is. And I feel more in control because I expect it, and it's something that happens. So again, it's about just coming okay with it. So my sister's a type 1 diabetic, and she can have horrible hypos that feel really uncomfortable, and she can feel really not capable, and she'll have the shakes. But actually she deals with it really well because she knows it and she expects it. But again, she knows that it will settle. Like you say, it's a flare-up. It won't be forever, and it's important to keep reminding yourself it won't be forever. And just take care of yourself in that time as much as you need to. Okay, Victoria, depression, very much the same way as anxiety. Okay, anxious thoughts lead to anxious feelings. Depressive thoughts and worries about mood lead to feelings of depression. So it works in exactly the same way. It still comes from your thinking. Everything we experience day to day, every minute of the day, comes from our thinking. I've experienced anxiety for years, get snappy and jumpy, wake up at night imagining the worst case scenarios. Yeah, it is draining, of course it is, but you're just in a habit of it. Again, download that video that I've got just so that you can start to see what you're doing in terms of a habit. Okay, Brett, feel like you're putting on people, you're not putting on anyone. We're all human beings. And do you know what? Genuinely, deep down, I know there's some shitty people out there, but genuinely, deep down, underneath, we're all full of love and compassion. You even only have to go on this page to see, I see people commenting and sharing with each other and supporting each other. There's a lot more people out there than you think. Usual symptoms, anxiety. When I learn to challenge, they charge to affecting my stomach when I'm awake. Get anxiety over nothing. Not even think about anything, it just hits. Okay, so it feels like it comes from nothing, but it comes from anxious thinking. But it doesn't mean that you've necessarily anxious thinking in that moment. You might have been very subtly anxious thinking over a number of hours, and it builds up. So you're sending the messages to your brain, and that's messing with your adrenaline and your stress hormones. So, you know, it is coming from anxious thinking, even though at times it doesn't feel like it is. It's not just out of the blue and as a surprise. There's nothing physically wrong with you. It's low, maybe some lower level anxious thinking throughout the day. Rang Samaritans couldn't get through. Keep trying. Go online. Message through online. There's quite a few platforms, I think, online as well. Sleeping problems due to anxiety. Same thing. If we can't sleep, insomnia is basically, again, anxious thinking. Again, someone else there that doesn't want to feel like they're burdening loved ones. Listen, people would rather you speak out than not do. And it's not a burden. We all need support at times. We take it in turns. That's just what we do as humans. Health anxiety. I don't think that anybody really that's suffered with severe anxiety doesn't have some form of health anxiety. Ultimately, we all want to, to live and survive, and anxiety can create physical symptoms in the body that can be uncomfortable. And it's our survival to want to stay alive, to be honest. That's what survival is. So again, it's quite normal to have those, but again, it all stems from starting to understand more about how all of this works, how your thinking affects the way that you feel. Insomnia, PTSD, I say, no one listens, doctor is useless. Change your doctor, go to a different doctor. If you're not happy, go to another one. Hiding away, left job a couple of months ago. What is good? I don't know what you mean by EUPD, sorry, Gail. Okay, Vanessa, again, it's understanding more about the principles of human nature, how thought works, how that affects our feelings and stuff like that. Okay. It's really hard actually with doctors. Sorry, I can't catch up with all these comments. It's really hard with doctors because they just do what they can in terms of their training or what they understand. Now, if I'm really honest, even as a psychotherapist 10 years ago, I didn't fully understand it like I do now. So the chances of a doctor who's specialising in all sorts of different things and not specialising in mental health, they are going to struggle to potentially fully understand, and they can just do what they can. But don't let that be a reason to give up getting the support and the help you need. Keep learning and exploring about how all of this works. Alcohol helps me from anxiety. Yeah, the only thing with that, we see what alcohol does is it suppresses your nervous system. So basically you feel relaxed, but ultimately it's also a depressant, and it's it's then going to create potentially some depressive thinking and then some anxious thinking and all of that sort of stuff. I read your subconscious creates your reality. Yes, it absolutely does, Justin. Why do I have to feel I have to make people laugh and make money to people enjoy me? Because they're your thoughts about yourself. They're your thoughts about, if I'm like this, people will like me more. I have to be like this to be accepted. And actually, it's about understanding that you're fine just the way you are, with or without those things. Okay, again, people saying about doctors not doing anything. Okay, if you are not happy, go to another doctor's, honestly. Okay. EUPD's emotionally unstable personality disorder. You see, it amazes me because, again, I'm trained as a psychotherapist, yet I always hear of new diagnosis. My best advice would be, rather than focusing on what that diagnosis is, learn more about the way your mind works in relation to your feelings, rather than focusing on, because I hear so many diagnoses given, and then it's kind of like, well, what do you do with that then? And often people then just worry about the fact that they've got that and how bad it might be and how bad it might feel. And then someone's put here, alcohol makes my anxiety worse. Yeah, it does, because the other thing it does, when your body's getting rid of the alcohol out of your system, it speeds up your heart rate. And if you're someone that's suffered with anxiety, that heart rate being sped up will remind you, and you'll probably go, oh, hang on, this is familiar. So you then start to assume that you're anxious, and it can make it worse. I've had to recently send to I can't fully see that. Suffer from OCD. Again, I've known people have such brilliant results with OCD in learning these 3 principles that I now absolutely love, and coach lots of other people, because, again, that's all thought-based. Okay, so any of you then, my best advice would be, I've put the link in the comments, I'll pop it in again. My Facebook page is Sari Taylor Coaching. Ooh. And at the top of that page, pinned to the top, is a post or if you pop your email in, you'll get a half-an-hour video explaining to you the principles that I've just been that I always talk about. Sari Taylor Coaching. Go have a look. Go and watch it. It will explain to you. Let's have a look. Yeah, it'll help with sleep as well, Sam. It will explain to you what it is I'm talking about. Because I don't have time in these sessions when I'm just trying to answer people's questions to explain fully what it is. But I explain it fully in that video. So go have a look. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. And I will hop on again soon, hopefully before Christmas. If Melanie's okay with that. I'm sure she will be. But yeah, if you've got any questions, let me know and download that video. Honestly, it will help a lot of what you're talking about. I've worked with Melanie many times before, so I know that it will help you. So yeah, so let me know. If you do watch it, let me know what you think and if you've got any questions about it. Take care, everyone. Bye.